We use search engines every single day. It's almost second nature. You type in a few words and poof, the answer appears. It really does feel like magic, doesn't it? But what's actually going on behind the curtain? Well, today we're going to break it down. Just think about it. You type your question, you hit that search button, and in that split second, that tiny pause, what is actually happening? How does a machine sift through the entire internet and get you an answer so fast? And look, as much as it feels like sorcery, it's not. It's just an incredibly powerful, really well-designed system. And the cool thing is, we can understand the whole thing by breaking it down into just 3 basic parts. At the heart of any search engine, you've got these 3 fundamental building blocks. First, something called a web crawler, which is out there gathering all the info. Second, a massive database to store everything it finds. And third, the search interface, which is the search box you and I actually use. The easiest way to think of it, you've got the librarian, the library, and the front desk. So let's start with that first piece, the web crawler. You might hear it called a spider or a bot, and its job is to just constantly, tirelessly travel across the web, following links from one page to the next. Its whole mission is to collect information to stock the shelves of that database. It's basically the engine's scout, always exploring the digital frontier. Now here's the real secret sauce. These parts don't just spring into action the moment you search. The whole system actually works in 2 completely separate, super critical phases. Understanding this 2-part process is the key to understanding how search is so unbelievably fast. So here are the 2 phases. On one hand, you have the indexing process. This is all the work that happens before you even think about searching. The engine is constantly out there, gathering and organizing all the web's information. Then you have the query process. This kicks in the instant you hit search. This is when the engine dives into that pre-organized library to find and rank the best answers for you. So let's dig into that first phase, the indexing process. Seriously, the best way to picture this is to imagine the search engine meticulously building a massive, comprehensive library of the entire web, long before you ever show up asking for a book. This indexing part happens in 3 main steps. First up is text acquisition, which is just a fancy way of saying the crawlers go out and grab all the documents. Next is text transformation, where the system breaks down those documents into simple, searchable keywords. And finally, index creation. This is where it builds the actual data structures, kind of like a giant, super detailed index in the back of a book that makes finding things later almost instantaneous. Okay, so the library is built, the card catalog is perfectly organized. Now we get to the part where you come in, the query process. This is all about finding your specific answer inside that enormous, pre-sorted collection. And this has 3 steps too. It kicks off with user interaction. That's you, typing in the search bar. Then comes the most important part, ranking. The engine zips through its index and creates a ranked list of what it thinks are the most relevant results. And then there's this last, behind-the-scenes step called evaluation, where the engine is constantly grading its own performance, always trying to get better for next time. All right, so we've seen the pieces and we've seen the 2 big processes. Now let's put it all together and take a look at the big picture, the full architecture of a search engine. You can think of this whole system as having 3 layers. Layer 1 is all about content collection and refinement. This is how all the information gets in. You see the web crawlers we talked about, but there are also things called connectors, which can pull in data from private sources. All of this raw info gets funneled into a system that cleans it up and gets it ready for the next step. All that refined content then flows right into layer 2, the search core. This is really the brain of the whole operation. This is where the heavy lifting of indexing we just talked about actually happens. It takes all that raw data and transforms it into that organized, searchable library. And finally, that brings us to layer 3, the user interfaces. This is the part you actually see. The search core sends those perfectly ranked results through different apps and services right to your screen. And that completes the whole journey, from some random page on the internet all the way to a useful answer in front of you. So look, if you take just one single thing away from all of this, let it be this. A search engine looks for your keywords in its own index, not by going out and searching the live web in real time. That's the secret. That's why it's so fast. It isn't scanning billions of pages when you click search. It's just looking through its own highly organized copy that it prepared way ahead of time. We've seen how the whole machine works, from collecting data to giving you an answer. But here's a final thought I want to leave you with. Now that you know how it works, what does it really mean that this system doesn't just find information for you, but it also ranks it? It decides what you see first. It literally shapes your path through the digital world. Something to think about next time you hit search.